Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Rochelle, you can call me RJ, and this is another edition of Weekend Weather Forecast for the entire lower 48. Before we get started with that, I do want to remind you all that I am continuing my fundraiser for Lupus Awareness Month through the month of May. So far, I'm at about 20% of my overall goal of raising $500 this month. I will have a link down below for more information as well as where you can donate if you are able to do so. Very much appreciate any help that we can get with that fundraiser. So let's start on early Saturday morning. So we're going to have low pressure as well as a few frontal areas that are moving through the eastern and southeastern United States. We'll have an ongoing risk of storms early on Saturday morning there. Back off to the west and north, we also have another low pressure cold front area that's going to move through the northern plains, upper Midwest. Chance for storms continues in both of those zones of the country as we head into Saturday daybreak, mid-morning, Saturday evening. Still watching specifically the southeast, that same area producing more storms as it moves off to the east. But if you look to the north and west, we're seeing that now moving into the Great Lakes versus the northern plains and the upper Midwest. So that one moves a little bit more. We have more of a consistent threat for some rain and storms down into the southeastern United States. Continuing into Sunday, did look like there was also a chance for some rain in northern New England. Then back off to the west, we've got snow, wintry mix in some of those mountainous areas of the northwestern U.S. And then just a little bit east of that into the Dakotas, some parts of the upper Midwest. We'll watch out for another chance for storms. And it also looks like there may be a flooding threat somewhere around that same area. By Monday morning, that area moves off to the east. So we're looking at Iowa, Illinois, parts of Missouri, and some surrounding zones under the threat for rain as well as storm activity there as well. So here is the threat for severe weather for Saturday. We're watching the southeastern United States for a level 1 and level 2 threat for severe weather. There's also risk for some stronger storms in areas of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, as well as parts of Wisconsin. Let's look at the tornado threat concentrated down into the southern U.S., southeastern U.S. Does include Jacksonville, Mobile, Columbus, Tallahassee, and Savannah. Higher risk for wind in those areas, and it expands to include Louisiana, Atlanta, and some areas of northern areas of the Carolinas. Hail threat stays pretty much similar to the wind threat through Wisconsin and Michigan, and then very similar areas down into the southeastern U.S. Here's a look at Sunday's risk for severe weather. We still do have a storm chance in the southeastern U.S., but they're not really expecting those storms to be on the stronger side. Now, through the plains, we do have a level 1 and a level 2 risk indicated by the deep greens into the yellow. One thing that storms feed off of is humidity. So we're looking at the dew points here, and those red lines, that's indicating lifted index. So that's a parameter that tells you how unstable the atmosphere is. The lower that number, so the more negative the number, the more unstable. And that just means that a little parcel, a little thing of air rises more, and the more it rises, the higher it rises, the more unstable the atmosphere, and the more likely that you'll have at least some storm activity. Starting early on Saturday morning, you want to look out for where are the teals, deep teals, and purples. That's indicating where we have more humidity. That stays mostly into the southern U.S., but it does expand as well, so we'll have some more of that humidity heading north into the upper Midwest, areas like Iowa, Wisconsin, where we do have that storm threat. And then into the Ohio Valley as well. Maybe some parts of western PA could be a bit on the more humid side. We have some more of those purples also now surging into parts of eastern Texas, Louisiana. That's indicating where we have those dew points in the 70s. So very sticky, very humid, very muggy. Some of those purples do start to creep back in during the afternoon into the evening on Sunday. Something else that we look at when we're talking about storms is called CAPE, or convective available potential energy. Storms feed off of it. When there's more of it, there's more of a risk that we'll have storms, and a higher risk that storms will become stronger as well. So let's take a look at that. What you're looking at here is the CAPE, but also something called convective inhibition. That's the blue hash lines, those diagonal lines that you're seeing. That's showing where it's suppressing that energy just a bit. So it lowers the potential for storm activity, not completely, but it does lower it. So this is again early on Saturday morning where you see the colors popping out more and they're not so faded out. That's where some of that energy is expected to break through just a bit more. So we'll have to see as we head into Saturday afternoon where we can get some of that energy, or where we get some of that energy to break through. And that's where we may have a better chance for some storms. This is just a model output. It might not exactly play out like this on Saturday, but just showing you some of those areas overnight. Maybe some more of the inhibition, some more of the storm suppression. Maybe not. Maybe the storms can break through that. But then going into Sunday afternoon and evening, we also do have another chance for some of that energy to be picked up on by storms that are trying to develop as the system moves through. So we have a good deal of energy that's going to be around, but the question is, will the convective inhibition lower that chance for storms to feed off of that? So it may still play out because we also do have the humidity factor in there as well. Best chance for flash flooding on your Saturday is going to be West Virginia down through the southeastern US. We actually do have also a level 2 risk for flash flooding through some areas of Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, southern parts of those states, as well as the Florida Panhandle. Then that risk for flash flooding shifts back off to the north and west into Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, and Kansas. That's a level 1 out of 4 risk for flash flooding for Sunday into early on Monday morning. Take a look at some of these numbers. So this is 48-hour rainfall for Saturday into Sunday. So this is ending early on Monday morning. Back toward the plain states, maybe 2 to 3 inches. Then down into the Carolinas, we also could see a couple of heavier areas of rain, 1 to 2 inches, possibly even into Louisiana, some of the higher rainfall totals possible according to this model. This one illustrating something very similar. You do see some of those same areas with the purples, the deeper blues indicating the highest rainfall totals for the weekend. And now we're not quite done with winter weather just yet, but we're not so much talking about it into the mountains of California and then also into areas like Colorado. And also the numbers are going to be lower for snowfall for this weekend. So what we're looking at for snowfall here is from Friday morning through Monday morning. 5 inches, half a foot to a foot, maybe upwards of 2 feet in some of these spots through the northwestern US. And this model actually has a little bit less. Still some areas that could see half a foot. So a few inches of snow are possible through some zones like Montana and Idaho. Now let's talk about temperatures. It's the middle of May. Remember, we do have that humidity that I mentioned that could fuel some of those storms. So keep that in the back of your mind while we're talking about the temperatures. Morning lows, what we're waking up to on Saturday, the mid-Atlantic up through New England, more so waking up on Saturday in the 50s. Now high temperatures on Saturday, decently warm for most of the country. We're talking maybe 80s and 90s, but we do have some cooler spots. Now you go to bed on Saturday, wake up on Sunday to not too bad. A lot of us waking up in the 50s. Some of us waking up cooler, higher elevations. I'm looking at you, some of our neighbors who live in the mountains. So by the time we're heading into Sunday afternoon, 90s. Yeah, 90s. Probably feeling like the triple digits for some of us in Texas. Some of that warmer air actually does start to creep into the Northeast. So upstate New York looks a little bit warmer maybe for Sunday versus on Saturday. So last week, the Climate Prediction Center released that we would likely be transitioning from an El Nino to ENSO neutral. So the waters around the equator in the Pacific, they're cooling down. El Nino means that they're running above normal. ENSO neutral means they're around normal. And then La Nina, which they're expecting us to develop sometime between June and September. So really within the next 4 or so months, transitioning into La Nina, so those waters being cooler than normal. That does impact weather patterns around the country, as well as hurricane season, which has already begun in the Eastern Pacific, but will begin officially on June 1st in the Atlantic. Speaking of June, just yesterday, the day before I'm recording this, Climate Prediction Center also put out the monthly temperature outlook, and it does look like a good swath of the country could be running above normal for temperatures. But through a good chunk of California, decent chance that we could see temperatures for the month of June running below normal. This doesn't tell you how much above or below normal those areas could be, just the chances, the likelihood that we could see above or below normal temperatures. There's also a map for precipitation. We've got a swath from the Central Plains over toward the Mid-Atlantic that has a better chance of above normal precipitation, but then we do look toward the southern, south central U.S., over back toward the Four Corners, maybe below normal precipitation there, as well as for the upper Midwest. All right, folks, so that is it for your weekend weather forecast for May 18th into 19th. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try and do these every weekend. May not always work out, but I'm going to do my best to make sure that you can get that weekend forecast from me if you want it. And before I leave you, just another reminder, I am raising awareness for lupus through the month of May. If you are interested in donating, please check out the link in the description box, as well as sharing that link with someone you know. I have had lupus for the last 15 years, so this is a personal fundraiser for me. The money does not go to me, however, it goes to the Lupus Foundation of America. So if you are able to donate, even just $5 helps. I appreciate just $5 if that's all you have to spare. It goes straight to the Lupus Foundation of America, and I will have more information on them if you'd like to know more about what they're about, what they do, how they serve the lupus community. I'll also have that in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.